Thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I suppose we should start at the very beginning. So I'll start with Jake and go around. So how did your love of theatre begin?
Wow, okay. It was middle school, just a classic tale. I was hell bent on not doing any performing arts. My mom was like, "Jake, you should give it a try." And I was like, "No, I have stage fright. I'm gonna hate it." And then somehow I got suckered into auditioning for the school musical, Thoroughly Modern Millie Jr., if you were curious. And after that, I was like, well, I know what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I know what my plan is. That was pretty much it. I was kind of locked in.
It's really interesting that it's the mum pushing you, because obviously normally that happens the other way around of you like, I really want
Right.
to do musicals.
Like, be a doctor, please. But no, my parents had other aspirations for me.
Nice. So Katie, then, how did your love of theatre begin?
Yes, I come from, my mom was an actress, so I kind of at a very early age saw like Book of Mormon and was immersed in theater that maybe I shouldn't have even seen at a very young age, which I loved. And then I think my first memory of doing theater was when I was 5. I played the fish in Pinocchio, a very amazing role, perchance. I don't remember it very well, but it was very fun. And so I kind of fell into it through the family connection, and then just stayed in it. Was like so in love with the people in the community. And Grace and I, we actually went to the same like summer camp, growing up musical theater summer camp. So like
Mm.
we were deep in it for a very long time. And yeah, and then got into writing. I think around middle school, just because I saw something that like really inspired me, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to write for this person that I thought was so amazing, and kept with it, and am deeply in love with it. And we went to conservatory, so I'm very glad that we love it, or else it would be insane and we'd go crazy.
So Grace, how did your love of theatre begin?
I also have a very similar story to Katie. My older siblings are all in theater, so then I kind of just like followed suit. That was kind of my babysitting, was where I'd go to the rehearsals and I'd be like, this is kind of awesome. And then I just fell in love with it. I started performing when I was super young. Sugar Cube in Beauty and the Beast was my standout role. Um, I remember it like it was yesterday.
I played the cheese grater, which wasn't
Oh,
isn't a role that I think is written in, but that was my star moment.
oh
That
my
was a fun.
gosh. Hey, it might be written in there. Maybe it's written in there. Yeah, and then I just loved it, and then I was like, wow, I don't think I can do anything else with my life. I tried all of the normal, well, I normal-ish fields, I guess, and I was like, wow, this is just not. I'm so sorry about my cat.
No problem at all. Special guest.
He's just attacking my hand every second. Um, yeah, and then I fell in love with it. But every time, like, and my parents were so supportive, and having people that support something like this just makes you fall in love with it even more because it breaks down the barriers of what you can do.
Totally. So,
Yeah.
Katie, you mentioned there you got into writing, and obviously you are the writer of the show we're talking about that we'll get onto a little bit later. But how did I know you said obviously it was just an inspiration and you were writing it for someone, but how did your love of writing begin? How did you really get into it?
I think I'm like trying to think back. I've actually at my summer camp they did this thing called Drama Fest, and it was a 10-minute long play festival.
Hmm.
And the person that I saw act in that was the person I wrote for. And I think they were always really dramatic pieces, which is funny because I actually like writing comedy a lot, even though the piece that we're doing is very dramatic. But I was so interested in the structure of like plot reveals, and the way in which, especially even in 10 minutes in a condensed time frame, you could create a story and justify people buying into believing that these people have lived like full lives that you're seeing on stage, even for such a condensed amount of time. So that was the way I think I was drawn to it, was seeing people that I really admired writing
Mm.
those shows and acting in them, and then sort of just copying it and being like, well, what can I do? And I remember seeing Almost Maine at my brother's high school, and I was so obsessed with it. And everybody was like, that's the classic one for a middle school girl to be obsessed with. But I wrote my first play based on one of their like mini love stories in Almost Maine, and then just
Mm.
kept writing.
Oh wow. So obviously we've mentioned there you're working on a new show. So where did the idea of the 45-minute play come from?
Yes, it's very almost very dark place, I think. I was talking to my friend, we were talking a lot about like philosophy and psychology, and he was going through a lot of sort of things that were shaping him differently and challenging his philosophical views. And we were talking about like the trolley problem. And
Hmm.
I was created this idea of it of like, what if you put somebody in a room and gave them a gun and put two other people in that room and said you have to shoot one of the two people within 10 minutes or both of them will be killed? Like, what would you do? And
Hmm.
how could you justify either choosing or not choosing because no matter what, you were complicit in what happened? And I think that idea of being complicit in life or death situations and how people interact in those and the relationships that come out was really what I was after when I was creating 45 minutes, which is also like under a time frame in a life or death situation.
Mm. So was it always called 45 minutes? Did you go in thinking this is going to be a 45-minute show and then
Yes. If for some reason 45, I mean, actually, the first draft was called Human Decency, which I think was a very heady version of like, this is deep. And then I changed it to 45 minutes pretty early on, which some people were like, it's a little confusing because it's written out as like zero
Mhm.
zero semicolon 45 semicolon zero zero. But every time I thought about changing it, I was just like, I really love the clinical sort of nature
Mhm.
of that. So now I'm really sticking with it at the Edinburgh Fringe.
So Jake, obviously as the producer of the show, does that sort of strict time frame of 45 minutes, does that change how you approach the show?
Definitely. I mean, you know, across the board, this is all of pretty much all of our first times at Fringe. Yeah, everyone in our group is it's our first time.
Mhm.
So, I knew we'd have to kind of take a running start, but given how much I've learned about uh how the how the pre and post show routines and
Mhm.
rituals of Fringe go and how kind of fast the changeovers are and how, really it really is about connecting with an audience right before the show and trying to get
Mhm.
everyone to come in and fill the seats or, kind of like being able to take things up and put them down really quickly. Um, it has absolutely influenced the prep process. And I feel really lucky that we've got a great team in our cast and crew who, kind of really work together. We've built
Mhm.
kind of this camaraderie over the last couple years. So we've already got our, daily itineraries in the works and the schedules of who's taking what and everything, down to the wire.
And that's the way you've got to be with the Fringe because it is so hectic and so sort of constantly moving. But obviously, I read online that the show has immersive elements, so it kind of involves the audience themselves. So what is that like adding to the sort of the workload of producing a show?
Yeah, actually it's been kind of a cheat code a little bit because it gives us a really clear way to, approach our post and pre-show as well as some of our marketing for the show, our social media presence. It actually like it's kind of that structure creates freedom thing,
Hmm.
because we are able to use like the first couple minutes of the show, for example, is a direct address from one actor to the audience. And so we're already, thinking about how we can accomplish connecting that to the act of getting guests to come in and pulling people off the street, like pulling them right into the show from the first interaction. So it's actually been like a real treat to see like what we can come up with and how we can, um, how we can use that limit of
Mhm.
like we've got to get everybody right before, we only have a limited time, like how we can actually work that into the structure of the story and the overall experience.
Hmm. Fantastic. So obviously, going on to Grace then, obviously we mentioned that Katie came up with the story and this is sort of a brand new show. So what is it like bringing a brand new character to the stage? Obviously, you don't have the this person did it this way, this was done before. This is all you, this is brand new. So what has that experience been like for you?
I feel very privileged to say that like I feel like me and Katie have a good relationship to be able to I mean, we are best friends and roommates for 3 years, so it's nice to be able to talk to someone that is writing this play and be like, what is your vision of
Hmm.
this? And not, I think putting your ego aside of not getting butthurt. Like there was many conversations when Katie would be like, that's, I love you, but that's not right. Like, or like, you know what I mean? Um, I've, at first, I guess I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it because I felt in such, like,
Hmm.
I felt so cradled by Katie and like it's so nice to be in this environment and how she wrote a lot of these characters with us in mind. So the language that she uses doesn't feel foreign to me. And she would go and we would do read throughs and she'd be like, if there's anything that feels weird coming out of your mouth, like let me know and we can
Hmm.
change it, find the language. Like we can find a bridge of this language.
Mm.
And so yeah, the biggest challenge of it though is how not to bleed your full self into it.
Mm.
Because as I said, they're written like for us, or not for us, but inspired by us. And it, I have a lot of qualities that Piper doesn't have, and she has
Mhm.
qualities that I don't do or don't have. And I trying to find that medium was a little challenging, and not forgetting the given circumstances
Mm.
within that, and instead of playing. Like it's just easier to do what you would do.
Mm.
That's not what she would do. And so that was hard.
Totally. So, Katie, in the rehearsal process, then, what's it been like seeing your ideas, your thoughts come to life, and being brought to to the stage by all these wonderful performers?
It's so cool. It is like no other experience I've had. This is my first like full length play that I've gotten to see
Wow.
produced and done. And I think I've done a bunch of 10-minute plays and shorter plays that have been produced and published, but in much smaller
Hmm.
settings. So to have this larger scale, thanks to we're partnering with the Thomas S. Keenan Institute for the Arts and Producer Hub, taking us to Edinburgh, which has been amazing. And I think that what Grace was saying, like imagining these characters and thinking about these incredible actors I know and what they give for free, like what they come into the room with,
Mm.
already having that I can use to tell the story has been so vital to the process. And so for me, it's been like getting to see qualities that I know these people already have, and then also distinguishing that from these
Mm.
characters in order to like healthfully tell a story and tell the story that we want to tell has been really rewarding. And I think it's just kind of been like a domino effect of one thing goes into place and knocks all the rest into like the final end goal that we have. So I do really feel like once something's in motion, we get to the end. But it's been really incredible to see like the reaction, the response, and the feedback that we get because it is a show for the audience, like
Hmm.
and for the artists too. But I really do believe that like what we're the thing that was compelling about it as a writer was I wanted to create a situation in which it was almost like an experiment in its own on the
Mm.
audience or a study that we could conduct where the results change every single time and we learn something so it would never be boring. And that's the whole building block that the show rests on is like every audience will create a new reaction and teach us something different about the show and about like these kind of philosophical questions that we're asking in general, which is like really compelling to me.
Mm. Obviously, you've mentioned throughout that you are heading to the Edinburgh Fringe this year. So, what was it like getting the announcement that you are taking your first full-length show to one of the biggest theatre festivals in the world?
Very exciting, very, very exciting. I think we were so lucky to have been chosen for this because we applied for the
Mhm.
grant and our school UNCSA was partnering with the Thomas S. Keenan Institute for the Arts for the second time to do this. And a lot of us applied and there were so many fantastic shows.
Mhm.
So us and our partner Seledka,
Mhm.
which is Lily Afghani and Uliana Klimchuk are doing that to be partnering as this like school community getting to take our work to the fringe when we're so fresh out of school has been really
Mm.
exciting and a little bit ooh, I knocked over my water bottle a little nerve-wracking. Sorry neighbors, but I think the thing I've been like very comforted in is everybody seems so friendly
Mhm.
and I keep hearing one of my goals for the fringe is just to see so much
Mhm.
art and like I would love to do ticket swaps. I'm like so for that. I'm like please let's see as much as we possibly can and meet as many artists as we can too. So I think the fact that everyone's been so welcoming and loving and that everybody must have had a first fringe experience
Mhm.
if they're returning and have a lot of like empathy and compassion for those doing it for the first time is really exciting to me.
Mm. So, Jake, what's it been like then preparing the show with that in mind that you are taking it across the water, that you're taking on such a long show, such a long journey for the show?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been leaning on the resources of
Mhm.
not only our partners at Keenan Arts and Producer Hub, but also like our community around the School of the Arts. There's been such a rich like network, as Katie was mentioning, of like artists who
Mhm.
have previously gone to the Fringe, who go every year, who are going this year even, who have been so willing to like, just give us their recommendations on like how to do these things. We
Mhm.
have a couple friends from the year above who got to work on the same program with Keenan Arts. who, sent us their little starter pack for like, this is where we got these resources. This is where, where we
Mm.
found this. We ran into this problem. This is the places we looked at for housing. And like above all, like I just have to echo what Katie's said that like the greatest, asset has been the community, the resources that people are so willing to give. And yeah, so that's made things,
Mm.
as simple and as possible when taking a show, it's hundreds of miles across the ocean.
So I'm going to start with Grace for this sort of series. I'm going to go around to everyone. But how are you preparing for the Fringe? Because it's a slog. It's a long sort of marathon. So how are you getting ready for that journey?
Um, well, like I guess like the most logical answer right now is I'm working really hard to save a lot of money.
Hmm.
I feel like non-artistically I'm working like 60-hour weeks to make as much money
Mhm.
as I possibly can, so that's not something I think about when I'm there. But I guess artistically, I'm very excited to like read. We're doing like a read through soon
Mm.
of the new script, like the revised and
Hmm.
edited script, and I'm very excited. Um, Also just finding comfortable shoes to be
Yeah.
in it all day, like, and just like things like I feel like a conservatory really prepared us for the
Mhm.
long haul of doing art all day, every day, running around, no sleep, theater, another theater, no, you know what I mean? Like
To quote
going and
Lady
going and
Gaga.
going, and going.
Yeah.
And it's nonstop. So I
Mhm.
think we kind of have that in the bag a little bit in this way because we're just freshly out. Um, and also, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, it's a lot. It's like my first time going this far
Mm.
away from home.
Oh.
So that is also something that I'm mentally preparing for of being in like a whole different cultural
Mm.
environment away from the States, like, and being like just trying to walk into everything with an open heart
Hmm.
and kind of get rid of the ego again and just kind of go in, and I know we're gonna have hurdles. And as long as we stay positive and optimistic that like this show will be the best
Mm.
version of itself because we have an amazing team, like like everyone in it is so good. I think that is something I just have to keep reminding myself. And at the end of the day, we're like a bunch of friends putting on a play in
Mm.
Edinburgh Fringe. Like that is the highest honor like right
Mm.
now. It's insane. Um, but that's how I'm preparing. Yeah.
Mm. So Katie, how are you getting ready then as the writer? How are you preparing yourself?
Yes, it's a long journey.
Mm.
Yeah, like Grace said, I was really lucky to do a few drafts and perform the show. We had the show produced and performed at my school, UNCSA, at our school, UNCSA, and that was great and a fantastic opportunity to get feedback.
Hmm.
And the great thing that I found from that experience is there is no lack of feedback, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. Like we're not having any hard time getting a bunch of people's opinions and thoughts. And I think the difficult thing about it is that there's so much that
Hmm.
we could do with the show. And I'm really happy that our starting point is already a very finished product. Like we already have a great story. And I think the people behind it, the actors telling it are so incredible. I feel comfortable at where it's at right now, but I think it can go so much further. So I am working on the draft. And I think that has been the biggest thing is
Mm.
the getting back into working on a script, especially after you do the first version of it, and especially
Hmm.
because we performed it for the first time, I think about 2 months ago. So it was a pretty quick turnaround to be like,
Mm.
okay, but let's get back on our feet and work it more. So I think that has been a huge process for me, and also press. We've never done. I don't know if you can tell, but we've never done press before, so it's really fun to like
Going
figure
fab.
out how
It's going
it's
amazing.
perfect. So like yeah, doing interviews and stuff like that and managing that. And Jake has been so incredible on the producing side as well, just with juggling these two teams as well as us and Sladka. And then the other thing is the directing, which I've always loved directing and I have some experience.
Mm.
But again, with a full length play, especially one that I wrote, I think what's been great, which Grace kind of talked about, was I wrote a group of characters. I wanted to write a really diverse group of people because I wanted the experiment to reflect what you might see
Mm.
on a day-to-day basis. And because of that, I really think that I'm only like one girl, and I am very sure that I can't tell six
Mm.
people that are like incredibly different, make all of them 100% accurate on the first try. So being able to collaborate and still working on that process right now and collaborating with like how do we make these characters feel real to the actors, because that'll make it feel real to the audience. That's been a huge thing as well, and just like planning how to direct in a week, like when we're getting ready to go to Edinburgh, like how do we make the most of our time every second, because I hear that that's what you have to do in Edinburgh.
And so finally, Jake, how are you preparing? How are you getting ready?
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of this has really been trial by fire for
Mhm.
me. 45 minutes is the first, producing experience that I've ever had, starting with the show at the Keys to the Kingdom, series at
Mhm.
school and then taking it to the Edinburgh Fringe. So, stair steps, school season, Fringe, definitely a little stressful. But so yeah, it's been a lot of like learning, doing as much research as I possibly can, staying open, and then kind of like getting us prepped and getting everybody else as prepped as possible so
Mm.
that when it's go time, we're ready and set, and then I can be the person to kind of like have the resources in my back pocket to make sure when
Mm.
things go wrong, because inevitably things will happen,
Mhm.
that, we have some solutions. It's been kind of a lot of, uh what if A happens? What if B happens?
Yeah.
What does this day look like? What does that day look like? Kind of like going into the weeds and just making sure the details are all good. And similar to Grace, this is also my furthest time being away from home. I've actually never left the country.
Wow.
So there's just going to be a lot of like opening myself up that I'm trying to do and like embracing, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So we are coming to the end of my interview, my questions, but I do have a couple more. So I know we've talked about the show, but Grace, how would you describe the show to someone who's never seen it before?
Oh my God. Okay. Without any spoilers. That's like what's going through my head. Okay. This show is a clinical experiment with five young people.
Hmm.
They come into a room, they all need this money. They want to get through it. And there's a doctor, a young doctor. Katie, you can interrupt me and please tell me.
Great.
Okay. Um, a young doctor who is putting on this experiment for her like dad. It's her father's old. Yes. Okay. Yes. And then by the end of it, I don't know what I'm.
You got
I
it. You got it.
know
It's
it.
basically,
I don't know
I'll
what I'm
give
allowed
you
to
a
say.
little bit.
Go.
We're working on the, this is actually something that we're all working on the elevator pitch of it all, because
Yeah.
we're quite new to that. But kind of the very calculated version that I've written out on my laptop is pretty much what Grace said, of like five people walk into a room to do a scientific experiment, and they find out within the first like 10 minutes that they have been given a lethal amount of poison.
Okay, I didn't know you were allowed to say that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that one's okay. But we have a
Okay.
lot of plot twists along the way. But yeah, so basically they're given 45 minutes to choose majority rules of which one of them can come out alive, and only one of them will get to leave alive.
Oh,
So we're basically that's the whole kind of pressure cooker that the rest of the show is boiling under, is once they have that dilemma and start getting sick, we have to see what they're going to do.
hmm. So Jake, if they like the sound of the show, where can they get tickets and where can they stay up to date with all of you?
Yes, you can find us on Instagram at 45 Minutes Play. And you can also find us at the Space UK during the Fringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there sort of personal Instagrams you'd like to plug as well?
Sure, you can find my personal Instagram at jdbryant26. And I'll be sharing updates of the show as well as our time in Edinburgh there. And Katie or Grace, if you guys want to plug yourselves too.
Yeah, we have for my Instagram, I have Catherine Page 24, and I'll be posting a bunch about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And then, yeah, 45 Minutes Play. Also, we can get tickets, or if anybody is interested in getting tickets, they can go to the Space UK box office,
Hmm.
or also Ed Fringe for tickets. Yeah, so that's where you can go. And Grace.
Oh yeah, my personal Instagram is Grace_Hoy. I'll also be posting stuff and
I'd also like to shout out our partner team,
Hmm.
Silyotka. We're lucky enough to be growing with another group from the school, and you can find them and their show and learn more about them, which they're not paying us for. Uh, but you can learn more about them at Seletka Once You on Instagram.com and General Seletka. I think it's really cool that we're getting to partner, so I want to make sure
Yeah.
I get their
They
show out
also
there.
gave you a
It's
lovely
my
shout
show.
out during their interview, so I think that's only fair.
yes.
There we go. Yeah.
So I will start with Grace and I'll go around again. But what advice do you have for young performers looking to do what you do?
The advice that we were always given, if you could do anything else and want to do anything else, do that. But if you really truly love what acting and do it,
Mm,
like do it. It's never stable, and you will find the best people you've ever met in your entire life, and
mm,
that's what keeps you driven. Money can't keep you driven.
Yeah.
Um, opportunities, you just gotta keep going because that well will never get filled with the material things that we're told it should be filled
hmm
with. It will just be filled with art. Um, and so I really encourage people that really love it to do it. Um, and fully to the wind.
mm.
Do everything you can. That would be mine.
So we'll go to Jake next. What advice do you have for young people looking to do what you do?
Um, Start investing in a rent stabilized apartment in New York City, preferably around age 14. No. I mean, yeah, similar to Grace. I mean, like, just embrace it and do it. And also, like, trust that everything you'll ever need is already inside you. Like, I think that there's a lot of like
Mm,
going through the pipeline of like arts education now to coming out as a young artist. I think there was a lot of learning or feeling like, how do I learn to be better than, I am now?
mm,
And it's kind of more like, well, actually, how do I just learn to like peel back the habits, peel back the, unnecessary layers, just to like, how do I present the most truthful version of myself? I feel like is the framework that
mm,
I would offer to someone who's younger and looking to be an artist. It's not like improving. I mean, it is
mm,
improving. That's a poor choice of words, but it's not like you can't do it or you don't already have everything you need.
mm.
Um,
So ending with Katie then, what advice do you have for young people looking to do what you do?
I think mine would be just really use the community. I think
Hmm
that theater people are the most like loving and incredible people I've ever met in my life. And whenever I've struggled, I've really turned to those people, those artistic people who have built me from the ground up. And I think, especially one of our actresses, Mary Catherine Brown, in our cast, said something that I thought was like one of the smartest things I've ever heard, which was, while you're a student, you can ask anything. Like
hmm
you are so, and I think this goes for the rest of your life as well, but especially when you're in school, when you're a young person who's interested in theater, you have the like prompt of, I'm a student
mm,
at blah 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 and I'm interested in this, can I ask you, because you don't really know very much yet. We still know not that much compared to like just having world experience. And I think getting to use the prompt of like, I am a student, I'm really earnestly trying to learn, I'd love to hear your thoughts on something, is just an incredible way of getting connected to people and really learning about other people
mm.
within the community.
Oh, fantastic. So I said at the beginning, but I'll end the same way. Thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I'll put all the links in the comments below so people can scroll down and click away. And I obviously wish you all the best of luck at the Edinburgh Fringe, and hopefully I'll bump into you up there. But I shall speak to you all soon.